Oh good, great, awesome, another YouTube video with a guy in a plaid shirt and a funky hat telling me exactly which camera I should buy. We're going to unbox the Panasonic GH5S, and I'm going to tell you exactly why I ditched Canon. Hashtag filming this on a Canon 6D. Let's do it. This is my first Panasonic camera. I am a longtime Canon user and I have officially ditched them to be filming on the Panasonic GH5S, and let me tell you, I really went back and forth between the GH5 and then the GH5S. In fact, I was going to purchase the GH5 and then I got wind that the GH5S was going to come out, so I waited an extra 3 weeks and then it came out, and then they were practically the exact same camera, and then I was really confused at which one I got or which one I should get. And I went with the S as I am much more a filmmaker than I am a photographer. And a really good way to think of it is the GH5 is a really great photographer's camera that has video capability. And the GH5S is a really good cinema-like camera that has really good photo capability, which is essentially what I needed. So let's do this. I've never opened Panasonic stuff. I'm sure it's all the same, or maybe not. Ooh, it opens like a magical box. Manual and nonsense. You know, I guess we should probably read this. Never mind. It'd be awesome if I just opened it up and it flew out of my hands and then fell on the ground. And all right, cool. So we got camera. We've got the little neck lanyard and all of our additional knickknacks in here. So I really want to get a gander at it. So let's go ahead and take it out of the pouch here. And yeah, so one of my good buddies let me use his GH5 for about a week, and I shot a music video with that camera just as a preemptive test. And yeah, this is the exact same body pretty much. I mean, obviously the record button's different, you know, a little bit of red, giving it that red vibe, that Canon vibe like everyone's talked about. But yeah, it feels like the exact same camera for sure. This charger definitely seems different than the GH5 charger, but I could be making that up. Yeah, that is a micro USB for the charger for the battery. I already went ahead and purchased 2 Wasabi batteries off of Amazon. And I love Wasabi if you're looking for an additional battery to go with. I never like to pay the upcharge to go with the brand name batteries, and Wasabi's always done a really good job, whether it's been you know, whatever Canon camera I've had. I'm previously coming from the Canon C100 Mark II, so I'm actually going away from a cinema camera and going back to more of a DSLR styled camera for several reasons, and I'll go through that in a second. Wall charger, all of this great plastic. I'm so glad we pre-wrapped every little thing in plastic. I think this has to do with the broadcast plug-in that it had. I can't remember exactly what the function was. I think it's this little guy up front, and that's more for broadcast operation. I'm so glad it has all these pictures of everything but this on the box. What the fuck? Maybe these manuals are actually good for something, because I don't know what this is. Page 9, standard accessories. Number 6, yeah, so 6 is the Bnc Conversion Cable. So this is for your sync time for TC in/out. And then this little guy is a cable holder. So yeah. I didn't really so much want to do this video to do an unboxing, but to just talk about why I ended up going with the Panasonic GH5S. I'm going away from Canon, and it was a really difficult decision for me. I'm just kind of one of those people that do get locked into brands. I really like Canon's quality. Obviously, they're a large leader in the industry for cameras, I originally started on mini DV tape, and then I went to a HD camcorder, and then I jumped to a T2i, and then a T3i, and then a 60D, and then I ended up going with the C100 Mark II. The Canon C100 Mark II was really the first cinema camera I'd worked hands-on with. That and the Blackmagic Cinema 2.5K camera that I used to do cinematography for a feature film over the last couple of years. And I just really think it's time to go away with it. I haven't really been impressed by the C100 Mark II's ability to really work with noise in your shadow areas and really deliver a clean picture. And maybe I'm not going to get a quicker post-process, as I'm going to have to be running proxies every time I'm doing 4K footage. Off of the music video that I shot over the last couple weeks with the GH5, I had to do the conversion to proxies in order to be editing with the 4K files in Premiere well on my suite. And I've got a pretty new iMac too. It's a 27-inch from 2015. It was a late 2015 model. So I'm really excited about the size. I'm really about nature videography. So, the last couple years I've picked up my travels, and I really love the outdoors. Lots of hikes, travel a lot with my girlfriend. We went to the Smoky Mountains twice this past year. We went to Colorado the year before. We're planning to travel internationally this year, at least once for sure. And so having a smaller body was really important to me. One of the biggest reasons why I didn't go with the Sony a7S II was because it didn't have the flip screen. And I know that sounds so stupid, but like even using this camera right now, the Canon 6D to film this, it doesn't have a flip screen, and it drives me nuts that I can't see if it's still recording or if something just magically went wrong with the camera right now. Obviously the 6D is limited to 12 minutes or whatever it is as far as for record time. And I also went with the Panasonic XLR adapter. So this goes to the hot shoe on top and gives me dual XLRs, so I can attach my Sennheiser shotgun mics, I can attach my Rode Lav mic to it, and then I can also go ahead and hook into live concert wise. I love working with musicians, so to be able to plug directly into a board, or if I'm filming a conference, I can get a link directly to XLR at any venue. So I felt like that was another really important feature. I got lucky because I didn't have a GH5 already. It seems like the people that are having the toughest time swallowing the GH5S are the individuals that have the GH5 and don't know if they should really upgrade to this, because it's not really an upgrade. It's just another option to the Panasonic models. So one of the downsides and things that I was initially freaked out about is I switched to a smaller body camera also because I wanted better photo capabilities. I really would like to try out astrophotography this year. This only has 10.2 megapixel sensor, and so with the pixels being much larger now, only having 10.2 instead of the 20 megapixels on the GH5S, that does allow more light to get into the sensor. That's why this does perform better in low light situations compared to the GH5. I was concerned that my photo images wouldn't be large enough in order to put together video photo time lapses, but 10.2 megapixels is actually large enough for 4K resolution. So, it's not 6K, not 20 megapixels. I don't have as many options as far as cropping and repositioning in post, but it's still gonna give me plenty of photo capabilities. And as primarily a filmmaker, this is a great camera because I still have photo capability and I have better and improved video quality as well. One of the other reasons why I didn't decide to go with Canon anymore is because in order to get 4K 60 frames, you're looking at the Canon 1D XS Mark II, whatever it is, the $6,000 body of theirs, and it doesn't even have the flip screen either. It seems absurd to me that Sony, Panasonic are all stepping up in specifications, and Canon's really holding on to the fact that they're this brand entity and they have just years and years of being the best in the industry, kind of like Nikon and They're just refusing to put out these specifications, and I couldn't ride with it anymore, and I had to go with something that had the specifications which I'm looking for in a camera. The reason why 4K 60 frames is important to me is I want to be filming stuff like the bald eagles nearby. I live close to the Mississippi River, and you know, I'm going to be able to get closer to those eagles because I've got 4K, and in a 1080 timeline, I'm going to be able to crop in and zoom in closer and be able to get just as good image with that and really bring the audience a lot closer to those eagles than what they would be if I didn't have 4K 60 frames as an option. And then you end up getting into the full frame versus the micro four thirds sensor. Obviously, full frame provides more light to the camera. Micro four thirds, you end up then running into the 2x crop factor, and I'm actually kind of psyched about it because, again, getting closer to my subjects. Over the last couple years, I went with the strategy of wide being better, mountain ranges, make sure you get wide, but I've really noticed that you can't really get a sense of the subject without getting a closer picture. It doesn't seem as cinematic either when you're not getting closer to your subject. So I'm really trying a new approach to what I'm capturing over the next year, where I'm going to be trying to get closer to features and not so focused on getting as wide as possible, because I just haven't seen that really deliver really great footage at this point. Other big thing I'm super psyched about is the 1080 240 frames per second, which just seems ridiculous. It's a little bit of additional crop factor on the 240 frames. 180 is non-crop to my knowledge, so 180 frames per second in 1080. I'm super excited about that. It's nice, you know, the C100 Mark II, you had the 60 frames per second. I really fell in love with slow-mo. I really enjoy the look and what it brings to the footage and what it can do for you as far as B-roll within an interview that you're putting together. So being able to take advantage of those slower frames per second, I am super excited about. The other thing I wanted to touch base on were the Metabones adapters. So I love Canon, and I'm probably going to be purchasing EF glass because I do think that within 2 years' time, 3 years' time, I will be going back to Canon once they end up bucking up and giving 4K, more 4K options, more slower frames per second to their other cameras. So I do foresee that happening in the future, but maybe Panasonic super steps up their game too and keeps pushing, and I just fall in love with this camera because after shooting with it only once, and that's the GH5, not the S since we just opened it, I really enjoyed filming with the camera. So I can't imagine this not being awesome. And in fact, I'm probably gonna do a 30 days or a 90 days follow-up video just to tell you my thoughts after filming with it. These Metabones adapters obviously will turn your micro four thirds mount into an EF mount, and this is the T-Smart adapter. So this is not the speed booster that most people end up going with that have the additional optics built into it. This doesn't have any additional optics into it. So what's nice about this is it preserves the 2x crop factor with the micro four thirds, which again, I'm psyched about because it's gonna keep me closer to subjects. I'm gonna be able to get closer to animals that we come across. I wanna be capturing wolves and elk and moose, whatever the hell we end up running into. This regular price is $400, and I actually picked this up used for $150, and it was in like new condition, so I really couldn't pass that up. XL Speed Booster, that's $650, and it's super nice, and I actually may still end up getting it for low light purposes, but for now, I'm gonna stick with this guy to see how it performs for me without the additional optics. I had a buddy ask me the other day what's the difference between the XL and the Ultra, and I have looked into them quite a bit, and the Ultra is the one that's 0.71, the XL is 0.64. The XL is specifically for 4K video recording. If you're doing 4K video recording and you're using EF lenses, the L series, cinema glass, EF lenses, you go with that one. If you're shooting primarily on EFS lenses, APS-C glass, then you go ahead and get the Ultra. The Ultra will also work on regular EF L series lenses as well. It's kind of the go-to. If you want to have one adapter that covers everything, go with that. You're just not going to get as much additional light with that 0.71 as you would with the 0.64. And how you calculate that is you would take like a lens, say you had the 51.8 that we're filming this on right now. You take the 1.8 and times that by the 0.64 or the 0.71, and you're going to get your new exposure that camera is at then. So it is really nice to have that, but again, that same thing applies to your field of view, where it's going to take away from that 2x crop factor, and I actually really want to play around with that and keep closer to my subjects for now. I'm going to go ahead and open up this XLR adapter just so you can get a gander at that. I know not everyone's purchasing this because it really depends on what you are filming if you really need the XLR. You know, this has the 3.5, you know, little cable jack, you know what I'm talking about. It's super plasticky. The GH5S, it's super solid. It feels really good in your hands. This adapter, it is very plasticky, which is a shame. And maybe it's that way for a reason, probably not, because that doesn't make any sense. You got two XLRs, great. Tons of settings, gain, low cut. I am still super excited about this. I've got a really nice Sennheiser shotgun mic that I'm going to be able to go ahead and adapt to this camera then. And like I said, I do live events, so it will be nice to be able to plug up directly to boards, not have to be worried about having a separate audio recorder device like a Zoom or whatever, which those are great. I've used Zoom products before and they work really well. So yeah, the other thing too, as far as opposed to the Sony, I've got a really good buddy that has the A7S II, and I've used that as a secondary camera on one of my client projects last year, and I really hate the color science of the Sony. I really do. It just every video that I've seen shot on it comes out green. Like you're automatically going to be doing color correction regardless. I mean, I haven't done a video project and not done color correction on it anyways, but my goal is to have, like, when I film, my goal is to get the video to look exactly how it was in real life. I'm not into like really soaking up the saturation or really improving the video. And I know some of you are rolling your eyes like that doesn't make any sense because you have those capabilities of doing it. But you know, I really concentrate on how do the mountains look, what are the colors looking like, and preserving that to the viewing audience to the best of my ability. And I really did like the color science that I was seeing in the GH5S. It does seem minimally improved from the GH5, so that's also really positive to this camera. You know, I guess the one other thing that I forgot to say too is that this has the dual ISO, so 400 and 2500 I believe, which is going to be really cool to implement and use that. You know, the one area that I saw the GH5 really struggle in were the black areas of the footage. Those were heavily filled with noise, and with the footage I was already seeing from the GH5S, I know I'm going to be a lot happier with this. And I do video like 95% of the time. And, you know, photography is going to become something more and more that I'm going to be doing. I really hope to improve upon that this year. I'll make sure I go ahead and do an update, say like a 90-day video, and tell you what I'm thinking about it then, but I am super pumped to be able to put this into use now. I'm really happy to have it unboxed now, and I hope this gave you a little additional information when thinking about purchasing your next camera. This is going to be great. I know my clients are going to be happy with it. I know I'm going to be happy hiking with it. Stick with me. Go ahead and subscribe if you're not, and I'm going to have a ton of cool footage coming your way. Peace.